Alright guys, for today's essential question we're going to be looking at how do we solve equations with rational expressions. Alright, what you're going to end up doing guys is you're going to be multiplying by your common denominator. So if I notice that my variable in this problem is n, so I want to solve this for n, my common denominator would be n squared. So I'm going to multiply each of my fractions by n squared. So the first one would be 2n squared over n squared, 1 times n squared over n squared plus 1 times n squared over n. The reason why you multiply by the common denominator is that factors will cross out, so n squared over n squared will cross out, leave me 2. The second fraction, n squared over n squared will cross out, leave me 1, plus n squared is n times n, so I can cross out one of my n's, and that'll leave me 1n. Remember, you're trying to solve for n, so subtract 1, so that gives me 1 is equal to n, and that's what I wanted for my answer. I wanted to solve it for n, so n was 1. For the next one, I'm going to come back to that one. For the next one, my common denominator would be 3x. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3x, the numerator. So 2 times 3x over x plus 1 times 3x over 3 equals 4 times 3x over 3x. Let's see what it cross out. In the first fraction, the x's are cross out. 2 times 3 is 6. In the middle fraction, the 3's are cross out. That'll leave me x. In the last fraction, the 3x's are cross out. That'll leave me 4. To solve this for x, subtract 6, so that gives me negative 2 as my answer. For the next one, my common denominator would be 2x. So multiply everything by 2x. So 1 times 2x over 2 plus 1 times 2x over x equals 1 times 2x over 2x. In the first fraction, the 2's cross out. That leaves me x. In the second fraction, the x's cross out. That leaves me 2. In the last fraction, the 2x's crosses out. That leaves me 1. Subtract 2 from both sides, so that gives me an answer of x equals negative 1. Alright, let me go back to the one I skipped over. For this one, notice that my last fraction is a trinomial, so let me factor that first. Factors of 2 would be 1 and 2. That would give me negative 3, but I would just factor that into, let me write it, a minus 1 times a minus 2. Now the reason why I want to show that is going to be my common denominator. So I'm going to multiply times a minus 2 times a minus 1. So I'm going to multiply each of my fractions by that common denominator. So what I'm going to have here is 4 times a minus 2 times a minus 1 over a minus 2 equals 2 times a minus 2 times a minus 1 over a minus 1 minus 4 times a minus 2 times a minus 1 over a minus 1 a minus 2. Alright, now it looks really horrific, but look what will cross out. My factors, a minus 2 cross outs in the first one, so that leaves me 4 times a minus 1. The middle fraction, the a minus 1's cross out, so that leaves me 2 times a minus 2. And thankfully in the last one, everything crosses out except for that 4. Now you're not done, you have to solve this for a, so I'm going to distribute and get 4a minus 4 equals, distribute again, 2a minus 4 minus 4. I do see some like terms, a negative 4 and a negative 4 gives me negative 8. I want to solve this for a, so I'm going to subtract 2a from both sides, so it'll give me 2a minus 4 equals negative 8. I'm going to add 4 to both sides, so that'll give me 2a is equal to negative 4. And then finally I'm going to divide by 2, and that gives me my actual answer of a is equal to negative 2. Alright, that's it for today's lesson.